Hi all. In the previous lecture, we had discussed about the direct sequence spread spectrum, correct? Now, today we will see some topics related to the same direct sequence spread spectrum. The topics are as follows. That is, give me 1 second. The topics are effect of despreading on a narrowband interference, probability of error and the interference margin, problems, and some applications of direct sequence spread spectrum signals. So first one is effect of despreading on a narrowband interference. As we have seen in the demodulator, what we are going to do? We are going to despread the signal by multiplying with a PN signal generator. This generator is working in sync or synchronization with the PN signal generator at the transmitter end. Okay, it is multiplied to remove the or to despread the signal. Removing PN signal from the transmitted signal will happen only if you have the same kind of signal and multiply it at the receiver end. Earlier, what we have done is we had assumed that there is no noise in this RT or received signal. Okay, now let us consider a practical condition where the received signal is not U of t, which is which looks like this, but it is U of t plus I of t. I of t is the interference noise or interfering signal from other communication channels. Okay. So this noise, what happens to this noise when we despread the signal? Considering this noise is having very narrow band or bandwidth of this noise is very small, then what happens to that particular what is the effect of this kind of despreading with narrowband interference? That is what we are going to understand. As you know, this is the circuitry we use to despread and demodulate the signal. So here the despreading operation, R of t is multiplied by C of t. So this is R of t. It had C of t here. So again multiplying with C of t in this particular term, what happens? C square of t. C square of t is always, it will lead to plus 1. So we can just ignore that term. And I of t multiplied by C of t is our extra term in this particular signal. This signal we can get it by passing through a low pass filter. What about this one? This is earlier, this was a narrow band signal, and now when we multiply with PN signal at the receiver, it is not only multiplied with this one, it is multiplied with I of t as well, right? So now this noise signal will become wideband noise, not narrow band. It is now, it will become wideband noise. Since this noise is spread in bandwidth, its power decreases. Let me explain that in the next slide. Assuming I of t with an amplitude AI and cos 2 pi phi t, what we can see is when we multiply with this high frequency signal C of t, the bandwidth of the I of t is now has been widened. Okay. And what we have to assume is Fi is the frequency within the bandwidth of the transmitted signal. That is, it is very small compared to the transmitted signal, or relatively same as bandwidth of transmitted signal. So now multiplication with C of t at the receiver end here, multiplication with C of t with this narrowband noise will result in a wideband interference with power spectral density I naught given by Pi by W. Here I naught is same as N naught, which you have studied in module 2 and 3. Pi by W. W is the bandwidth of the chip sequence C of t, or the PN sequence bandwidth. So Pi by W is your interference power spectral density. Now the total power of the interference at the output of demodulator, after demodulating the signal, the total power will be given by the equation I naught into RB. RB is the bit rate of your message signal. So it is, you are going to get I naught into RB. So RB is generally given by R. I naught is given by Pi by W over here. If we substitute these values, we'll get this equation, and we'll rearrange this equation in this way. You can see. Also, W by R. W by R is the, it is called as the processing gain of the spread spectrum, and it is nothing but the ratio of bit interval of the message to the bit interval of PN sequence. Okay, and the same is represented by another term called as LC, and this is nothing but, as I have told, it is the spread spectrum processing gain. If this is large, I naught RB will be very small. That means what? If spread spectrum ratio, spreading ratio is high, means definitely we are going to have lowest interfering signals power. So our interference will not going to affect our signal because it's very low now, correct? So that is the effect of narrowband interference signal onto a direct sequence spreaded signal and on its performance. Okay, this is about the effect of despreading on a narrowband interference. In simple way, what you can conclude, despreading will increase the bandwidth of interfering narrowband signal. Now it becomes wideband interfering signal, and subsequently it affects the interfering signal power in a way such that it goes on decreasing as the bandwidth of the PN sequence is very high. So less interference from the subsequent or adjacent channels. Okay, that is the conclusion from this discussion. Next is probability of error. As you know, probability of error in BPSK, it is given by PB is equal to Q function of square root of 2 EV by I naught. There the I naught was represented using N naught, noise spectral density. Here interference spectral density, you can say. Why we are using the BPSK error equation? Because the spreaded sequence is modulated using the BPSK modulation scheme. That's why error probability will be, obviously it is of BPSK modulation scheme. Similarly, another derivation which is not there for our particular discussion, but the equation can be given as SNR is equal to 2 PS into TB divided by PI into TC. Here PS is signal power or your message power, you can say, PI is the interfering signal power. TB is the uh, bit interval of your actual message. TC is the PN sequence interval, correct? Now the same can be represented by taking this into TB by TC ratio in a reverse order. Earlier we have discussed, right? TB by TC will be LC. So you can put it in this way, okay? Or you can represent as per the requirement, okay? To find out one parameter depending on the given parameters. This is about probability of error and SNR. The next important topic what we have is problem on this signal to noise ratio and processing gain requirement. Just give me a second. The problem statement goes like this. The SNR required at the detector to achieve reliable communication in direct sequence spread spectrum communication system is 13 dB. So the required SNR for reliable communication is 13 decibels. Signal to noise ratio required is 13 decibels. If the interference to signal power at the receiver is 20 decibels, so interference to signal power is 20 decibel. What we have to determine is we have to determine the processing gain required to achieve reliable communication. Processing gain is given by which equation? Processing gain is given by LC. LC is equal to TB by TC. We have to find out this LC value. We are given with SNR and interference power to signal power. These two values we have been given with. So let us first convert them to decimal values from the dB values or the decibel. SNR is 13 dB, which we can actually convert to normal value like 10 log SNR is equal to 13 dB. So if we apply the anti-log, we'll get SNR as 20. Similarly, PI by PS is given as 20 dB. 10 log PI by PS is 20 decibels. So we can get this as 100 when we apply anti-log on both the sides. Using this, we can calculate LC. You can just see this equation here. What we have, SNR is given by 2 PS by PI by LC. If you want LC, we can rearrange this equation. Then LC will be 1 by 2 PI by PS into SNR. You will get LC is equal to 1000. What is this LC value? This is the processing gain required to achieve reliable communication. So if you can have a ratio of TB by TC, LC is nothing but TB by TC. TB by TC as 1000, then we are going to get reliable communication with 13 decibel of signal to noise ratio and interference power to signal power value as 20 decibels, given that processing gain is 1000. Okay, this is about the first problem. Now next topic we discuss is the interference margin. So this topic, interference margin, it defines the relative power advantage that an interference may have without disrupting the communication system. What you can say is the level of interference or jamming that a system is able to accept and still maintain a specified level of performance so as to maintain specified bit error ratio even though the signal to noise ratio is decreasing. So this is the definition of interference margin. What you can understand from this is it is the interfering signal power. Okay, the boundary of interfering power signal within which our communication system is reliable. If that increases beyond this margin value, then the communication may not be reliable. Okay, we want to have this value as high as possible so that within that range we can utilize the communication system in an efficient way without any interference affecting our uh, signals. Okay, so as we know, Q function is defined in terms of EB by I naught ratio, correct? This EB by I naught ratio can be given by this equation PS TB by PI W. But TB is what? It is the bit interval of the message signal. And when I say TB, it is 1 by the bit rate. That's why we can represent TB by R. And if we rearrange this equation, what you can get is W by R by PI by PS. W by R, you already know what it is. W by R is the processing gain. Processing gain divided by interference to signal power ratio. Now, suppose we specify required EB by I naught to achieve desired level of performance. Then using a logarithmic scale, we may express the previous equation in this way. I want the PI by PS, that is the interfering power to the signal power ratio. Then taking 10 into log on both the sides, we'll get this equation. Simplifying this by applying 10 log on both the sides, we are going to get 10 log PI by PS is equal to 10 log W by R minus 10 log EB by I naught. So we can write this in decimal form in this way. So this we can write PI by PS decibels is equal to W by R decibels minus EB by I naught decibels. From this equation, what you can see, sorry, first let me tell, this equation is our interference margin. If this ratio is very high, okay, this ratio is high, then the system will be reliable. When this ratio will be high, when W by R will be very high and EB by I naught is very small, correct? So this is about the interference margin, which is given by this equation. Either we can use this equation over here, or you can directly substitute the values and get the answer for interference margin. Now let us solve one problem. Suppose we require an EB by I naught 10 decibels. This is the requirement of EB by I naught to achieve reliable communication. What is the process gain that is necessary to provide an interference margin of 20 decibels? Interference margin is been given as 20 decibels. EB by I naught is given as 10 dB. Processing gain he wants. What is the equation for processing gain? Processing gain equation is, you can see processing gain equation is W by R. So in the previous equation, here given is PI by PS in decibels, EB by I naught in decibels. The W by R in decibels is PI by PS plus EB by I naught in decibels. So it will be 20 plus 10, 30 decibels. If I want it in the decimal value, instead of decibels, W by R is given by antilog of 30 divided by 10, and we are going to get W by R as 1000. So 1000 is the processing gain required to provide 20 decibels of interference margin. If we want 30 decibels, then the value of W by R also increases, which you used to provide. So what you can understand, interference margins strictly depend on processing gain. It should be as high as possible. Okay. For the today's lecture, this much is enough. In next lecture, we'll go through the performance of coded spectrum, spread spectrum signals, and then some applications of direct sequence spread spectrum signals. Okay. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.